Hello to you all. Hi. Hope all of you are well. We are carrying on in our wonderful workshop. And today we're going to discuss how to be cautious in life. In other words, we discussed how to manifest in the first Sefirah of Malchut, of kingdom, how to bring across things into our lives. And the next stage that we're going through is how to be very, very cautious. That's the upper level, the next level up. And because once you have your practicality, you have the Torah, you have the book of law of how to manifest what you need to be cautious of, what you need careful of, and what you need to properly act, then you come to be very cautious, very much like when you learn how to drive. You need the book of law of to know the laws of the country, the law of the state, of the county, and once you do, and you practice it, you can definitely cautiously approach going into the road, in the city, and on the highway. So, however, the very big innovation that we're having now is that this cautiousness, the attribute of cautiousness, relates directly to the Sefirah of Yesod, to the second Sefirah of foundation. And we will explain now what is foundation. And how can you achieve that? Well, that achievement is done through pausing, observing, understanding the severity of what will happen if we don't, and the kind of service we need to give in this work. In other words, let's imagine ourselves going into work, having fun, doing what we need to do, and then celebrating with whatever reward we get at the end of the month, at the end of the week, which is wonderful. However, there's certain basic rules, laws, ethics that we need to keep within the working place. And if we don't, and if we don't observe, and if we are not cautious, mindful, aware of where we go, then there'll be terrible consequences. We might not be able to keep our place of work for a while. And therefore, Rebbe Lutzato says we have to be very cautious in everything that we do. Cautious doesn't mean panicked. Cautious doesn't mean in fear. Cautious means watching ourselves in a thorough way, observe and supervise our ways, whether they are correct or not. Otherwise, lest we're going to fall into the abyss of very bad actions, and then others will see that. And that's very much like a blind man walking on the very edge of the river and trying to balance himself out. Unless you have somebody holding your hand, unless you know what you're doing, unless you know the road, you will definitely fall. So Torah, the Bible, brings you to zehirut, to cautiousness. And what does it mean to be cautious? What is that Sefirah or foundation? Well, in our nature, we are very imaginative, we're full of passion, we're full of impulsivity, and many times we get pursued by all kind of confusing kind of thoughts. And we have inside an incredible passion, or let's call it an evil inclination for our basic needs, which are many times very animalistic, very naturally materialistic, and it draws us down and pulls us down towards the material and towards our lust and desires. And many times it's very antisocial and unethical. So this Sefirah of foundation is the bridge between the lowest part when we manifest and all the higher spheres which nourish this entire empire and edifice that we are building. And it categorizes by a person being very truthful. In other words, if you want to be very cautious, first of all, let's watch our thought, our heart, our speech, our actions to be within the truth, to be in that power where we very much refine and guard and purify our thought, our words, our actions, especially whatever is included in keeping to the in the ethical avenue. In other words, whatever is infidel, whatever includes straying of our eyes, whatever includes not being very very honest to do with that, that will be very detrimental to us. Why is it called foundation? It's called in Hebrew the foundation, because even though the kingdom, Sefirah, which is the first one, is the first one from when we look from down up, but the foundation is the foundation on which everything hinges. When we have the next generation after us, our children, they come out of that Sefirah, which is related to foundation. So everything depends on that. You can be an incredible person, but if you destroy and damage yourself going that direction, then you might not get to everything you want. And the divine is very strict when it coming to that. And that was the great test of Joseph. Joseph, one of the forefathers, was tested heavily when coming to Egypt with the wife of Potiphar, who was an incredibly pretty lady who tried him out every day. She changed the clothing, she came to him, she flirted with him, she tried him out, and his entire test was a raw pit. He didn't know what was next, but he did know that for in whatever cost, he has to leave even his own clothing and run out and leave her alone because she was a married woman, because it wasn't up to him, because he was loyal to his boss, which was Potiphar, and because it's inappropriate between him and another party, another woman. And therefore, standing that ground, standing his ethical values, allowed him definitely later on to turn out to be that person who saves the entire ancient world, that person that will feed and nourish all the world of the Egyptians and the Israelites that came all the way down from Israel because of his incredible power to hold back on being infidel and being very ethically, morally upright and correct. Therefore, the Rabbi Lutzato explains to us that when we want to be very cautious, the tikkun means how do we rectify it? We have to go through the Sefirah of foundation. We have to pause, observe, and supervise all our actions, whether are right or wrong. And we have to run away from anything that can be detrimental to our own psyche and soul. Because once we go that path, that down the road, we're not better than the animals, because animals, when they do something, they just follow the nature. But we are much better than this. We're given a free choice, and the only free choice we have is to be much better than the animals. And so a very great Kabbalist who lived about 100 years ago, his name was Rabbi Sinwani, who came from Yemen, says that there are two major things that we should guard. Where people are on the verge of very much touching the borderline between being a person and being an animal, between a holy, divine, spiritual being having a physical experience, and between allowing ourselves to become animals. One of them is all around the food and our eating habits. And the other thing is when we cohabit, when we have relations. And that doesn't start only with our mouth. It starts already with the eyes. What do we see? What do we allow ourselves to absorb internally? And the rest is already history. And therefore, very simple, are we allowing ourselves to become more animalistic? Are we allowing our inner demons to win over us? Or do we allow ourselves to become holy, divine people, and therefore have the divine spirit and build the temple within one of us? And we have to remember that entire evil inclination is only an illusion within us. It's not even a feeling. It's just a crave, a drive inside us that drives us down, that pulls us down towards temptation, that pretends and to be us, that identifies itself to be us. Yes, we are angry. Yes, we are depressed. Yes, we crave. Yes, we lust. Yes, we are tempted. And the answer is no, we don't. We are experiencing it, which is in the Hebrew, it's an he who tries to confuse us and make us identify ourselves with it, with him. But really, it's not ourselves. So all we need to do is let it pass. And that is a direct result of the sin or the first man of Adam when he ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Sin, the ability to stray away from God's path, from the divine path, was completely outside of his own role. But once he implemented, once he ate from this, from now our whole vision, our whole perspective is swayed in such a way that we don't see truth and lies anymore. We see good and evil in a very subjective kind of way. And this is the reason why we were given the Torah, the Bible. As God says Kabbalistically, I've given you, I've created inside you the evil inclination. And it's the major reason why we are in this world, to counteract, to fight against resistance against this evil force. And have given you the Torah, which is the only antidote for that. Because once we fight it, we are able to subjugate it, to bring it to a higher level. We don't have to slaughter it. We don't have to nullify it. All we need to do is to subjugate it towards our own goals. Just very much like we have gas, petrol, fuel inside our cars. At the same time, we can't drive without it, but if we let it go whichever way it wants, haywire, well, we're going to explode together with the car. So obviously we need to channel that energy very, very smartly and wisely in order to serve us. And so Rabbi Luzzatto writes as follows: we need two different perspectives. One is to observe what is the real goodness in life that we should choose. And of course, similarly, the negative part of it is run away from the right and the correct evil. And the other thing are the actions. We must actually observe our actions. Are actions good, or they're full of interests and they're not tending towards anything good? So again, first of all, is to choose our strategy and observe. Is whatever we're choosing is real good, it's got real value, it's ethical or not? And the other thing, we already are doing those actions. Are those actions good, correct, or they are not good, full of interests, and going astray to different unethical things? And that applies even before we do the act, to think and weigh the action. Where do we need it? Where do we want from it? Where is it going? And the other thing, through the action, right? Check yourself. What is your motivation? What do you really want to achieve once you do it? And so our sages told us an incredible statement. It's better for a human being that he was not created. What? Yeah, better that we were not created. Now that we are created, let us check, recheck, observe our actions. What does it mean? It means that we are so close to fall. We are so close to become, again, animalistic, materialistic, and get pulled down and drawn after our own temptations. But it will take great courage and against resistance to become a real human being that works upon himself. And not only when we're close to death, we're in hospice, when we don't have any more drive and lusts. No, when we're young, that's what we should do. And if you read the social media, any wise man and lady today, that's what people advertise. They're not, stay away from all those unethical stuff because it's going to destroy your life. And therefore, how do we acquire this? We acquire this first step by studying the Torah, the Bible, because that will show us the code of law. What are the parameters? What are the boundaries we should keep? The next level, that should make us cautious. The next level is to observe, pause and observe what is in front of us, what we need to do, and what will be the consequences if we go down that road, which is a rabbit hole with no end. And that will bring us to have the awe of God. In other words, we are always going to worry. Are our actions good or not so good? And we're nearly done. That is as follows. Understand that when a person sits around, drinks around, and laughs day and night in a scoffing way, well, from there, the road is very, very short to go all the way down the unethical path. So nobody said you shouldn't laugh. Nobody said you shouldn't be happy. We should be happy and joyous all our days. But when we sit and we just laugh things around and we don't have anything of value and serious within us, and we go out with all kinds of companies that can tempt us towards crossing the right ethical borderlines that we should stay away from. And therefore, an incredible observation is that when we are correctly cautious, that will bring in us an incredible happiness, joy within our heart, because we're doing the right thing. Because this is the actual right way spiritually that God has created us, as well as emotionally. Let us summarize for today. We've learned that at the bottom there's the Sefirah of kingdom, right, which is which allows us through the study of Torah to become very cautious and observe our ways and know what is right, what is wrong, what are the consequences. This brings us to the next level of being very, very cautious in what we do, not fearful and not panicked. Just know your way and be thorough before you do. Observe your thoughts, observe your emotions, observe your strategy, and make a strategy before you go into something. Once you do, the next level is to actually go and do it. Observe your actions, because if you hit that button on the computer of buying or selling your shares and you didn't calculate, you might be in a great, great loss that you won't be able to stand up for. The same applies to all actions. Those actions which can bring us to the detriment, it can be very unethical, stay away from. And therefore, this will apply to all the negative commandments where we have to stay away from. And doing that will bring us real happiness. And not just sitting around and scoffing and becoming a clown. Because becoming a clown, the road down the rabbit hole is very, very short to become very, very unethical. We're going to see each other soon in the next video. Join me. Then have a great day.